Okay. Now, hello, everybody. Welcome to, I guess, segment 2 of July 30th, 2022, where we're expecting you all to show up at Parliament. And now I'm going to explain to you exactly why. And this is a message really for others. And unfortunately, I'm going to be using some terms that are, might be over your head, but I'll do another live stream later on to explain exactly what that means. So anyways, it'll be strictly in English. I'm just going to give a small French message to the French people, and then I'll be right back. Alors, je voulais juste m'excuser, mais aujourd'hui, comme c'est là, ça va être seulement en anglais parce que c'est un message pour la gouvernance et le militaire, etc. Et je vais revenir en français plus tard, peut-être ce soir, là, pour tout vous expliquer ça, parce que c'est des grands mots, c'est pas facile. Puis, en tout cas, un petit peu de patience, mais on va y arriver. Alors, je vais continuer en anglais. So anyways, it's pretty, how can I say, important that the information comes out. So this is important information for all Canadians and Indigenous peoples, the Canadian military, the RCMP, the federal and provincial governments, municipalities, and Ottawa, the city of Ottawa, regarding non-interference of the peoples of Canada's right to collective self-determination at Parliament Hill on July 30th to August 1st, 2022. To both federal and provincial governments, the Canadian military, the RCMP, police, municipalities, and the city of Ottawa, your legal duty is to physically and financially assist us with everything we require from you to achieve our rights to self-determination, even during a pandemic. Nothing is to stand in our way. Any infringement of that duty will result in legal action against you under our collective decolonization, self-determination, and self-governance, and including our collective political and civil rights. This means that you will also be acting in breach of your self-determination's obligations to the people. The right to collective self-determination to be held on July 30th to August 1st, 2022, is in reference to the Canada Bill 1982, being the Canadian Constitution 1867 to 1982, repatriation in self-determination that served to usurp the right of the Canadian and Indigenous peoples of Canada by our federal and provincial governments and parliamentarians, deciding without our consent to remain under parliamentary democracy, without recourse by the people to hold any politician accountable to usurpation, infiltration, and corruption. For the UN, the obligation to respect and promote the right of self-determination, as well as the obligation to refrain from any forcible action which deprives people of this right, is an obligation arising under a preemptory norm of general international law. Since Canada has previously denied us the just cogence and I've got a hard time with this one, ergon status of self-determination, the Canadian People's Union has moved forward since March 3rd, 2022, with a formal request to the United Kingdom to finalize the Canada Act 1982, still awaiting repeal in their legislature, by placing the Canadian and Indigenous peoples as the official equal co-owners, shareholders of Canada, and being its executive authority over the Crown of Canada and all of our assets. Canadians can stand with us in Ottawa or any Canadian municipality to express their wishes loud and clear without fear of government retaliation or municipal or provincial interference. It's time for Canadians and Indigenous peoples to get counted and join us at the Parliament July 30th to August 1st, 2022. If you want your freedom, get counted as an official equal collective shareholder, co-owners of the Crown of Canada and its assets with final decision-making authority over our governance by signing your convention of consent on our website at thePowerShift.ca, and join us on Parliament Hill, July 30th to August 1st, 2022. This will be historical, and now the government has been warned, and so has the military, the RCMP, and the police, and none are to interfere other than to assist us in everything that we require for this to happen. So this is the message. So I'm also going to try to explain a bit where all of this is coming from. So for instance, the UN General Assembly's declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples 1960 states that the subjection of peoples to alien subjugation, domination, and exploitation constitutes a denial of fundamental rights, is contrary to the Charter of the United Nations, and provides that all peoples have the right to self-determination by virtue of their right to freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. And that includes turning taxation, if we're wise enough, into dividends. Now, this is the basis for a people subject to colonial rule to be given the choice of how they wish to be constituted. Independence, integration, or association with other states. It is also possible to identify from the various international instruments that have addressed self-determination rights to fall upon a people before they go through the process of determining their status. This has been denied to us in 1982. And this is what the Canadian government and the premiers stole from all Canadians, whether the premiers knew or not, or the parliamentarians, about our rights to self-decolonization. They should have been. And if they were not competent enough to understand that, especially with Indigenous nations being in Canada, they should not have ever even have been in those positions to begin with. Our politicians should at least know international law and the rights of the people and their own rights as citizens as well. So I'm going to keep going. These have been identified. Okay, so all of these rights have been identified by Drew, who notes, and this is just a writer. While its normative contours are yet to be definitively settled, the following can be deduced as a non-exclusive list of the substantive entitlements conferred on the people by virtue of the law of self-determination. In the decolonization context, we have a right to exist demographically and territorially as a people, the right to territorial integrity, the right to permanent sovereignty over natural resources, the right to cultural integrity and development, and the right to economic and social development. Now you will understand the fight of the Indigenous peoples, because now we are also in that fight. Now neither one of us on each side can move forward with self-determination like this together. It has to be done together, and neither one of us can do it on our own. So we're coming together finally. And what the government has tried to do was keep us separated so that we can move freely into this self-determination on July 30th, and finally place the Indigenous nations with us as equal shareholders, co-owners of Canada, the Crown of Canada, and all of its assets, with executive power over our governance. We have the right to do this. Although we have to say that we're remaining in we have to have a government that's democratic. The democratic part also can mean that the people rule over the parliamentarians, and that the parliamentarians also have a democracy to vote in Parliament. However, they cannot have final decision-making authority until it is brought to we the people once they create laws. So we are not usurping our governments. We are not changing anything in Canada other than our rights above the Crown and the government in Canada. Okay. So this is a reference to substantive elements of the law of self-determination other than that right to free choice. That applies in the decolonization context, such as the right to permanent sovereignty over natural resources, but it is also possible to identify a different type of relationship between the right to self-determination and sovereignty beyond the colonial context. The concept of popular sovereignty has long been used as a rhetorical device to legitimize governmental authority by depicting it as something granted by the people rather than obtained through a display of or threat of force. So really, they lied because under representative democracy, or even the shared democracy between the parties, proportional representation, it is still a usurpation of our rights, no matter how you look at it in Canada. So now we're fixing all this. We're fixing the wrongs of the past and the present, and moving forward come this July 30th, 2022 at Parliament. So please, be there. And it's important for everybody to be able to get together. So I could read some more, but we're going to keep that for the legal eagles, and make sure that also the Canadian government now has an official video, and the police and the RCMP and the military to look at, and they need to be able to assist us and make sure that there's no blockades, nothing stopping us from all entering on Parliament Hill through Ottawa. And the city Ottawa needs to take a step back and make sure that all the citizens in Ottawa have no problems either getting to Parliament, because each citizen in Ottawa owns Canada. Okay, we are all equal shareholders, co-owners of the Crown of Canada, and all of its assets together. So therefore, we are coming together in celebration on each side of the two-row wampum treaty, which is something that needed to be fixed since first contact. We are fixing that on July 30th, making the Indigenous nations truly equal partners in this country, so that we can all benefit from each other and to move forward for a better country, a better life, a better future for our children. Now, no fear. I'll see you there. Please go and sign your Citizens Convention of Consent, and then be counted at Parliament Hill or anywhere in any city. We need to start organizing. We don't have much time. Time is of the essence. So we ask you to help us to donate some of your time, volunteer, send us an email. If you want to volunteer, send the email to Richard at thePowerShift.ca, and organize in your city, anything you can do. Let's get this done. Time is of the essence, but we're on the right path to freedom. The only difference between a dictatorship and freedom is who makes a decision at the end of the day. So welcome to your new life. Let's move forward and get this done. thePowerShift.ca. Thank you. Okay. And I will post this on our website later on, so that you can read the words and copy it and give it to everybody you know. Thank you. Bye-bye.